расстояние где-то сантиметров 5-7 до микрофона, и там уже в уровне стороны.
Хорошо, а такой вопрос. Вместо кнопки mute я могу вот так вот прокашиваться сюда? Да, нормально? Ну хотя бы какой-то workaround. Я начал вставать.
Что?
Я думал, что стол рабочий есть, что могу комп разложить. Вы группа играете.
І ще й ви свої федерації. Ну а хто?
Списки виборців вже є?
Так, звісно.
А мене не включили, я ж член вченої ради.
А це тільки штатні працівники. Да, штатні працівники. 719, 541 науково-педагогічний працівник, 108 представників студентського самоврядування і 60, скільки там, 8, 9 вже співробітників. Тобто там не більше 10% господарників, не менше 15% від студентського самоврядування.
Доброго дня, шановні колеги, шановні друзі, шановні пані і панове. Розпочинаємо нашу роботу. Перше засідання Палати фахівців Української Федерації професійних медичних об'єднань.
We begin the first meeting of the Chamber of Experts.
Українська Федерація професійних медичних створена вже
Despite the
відносно
fact that the
давно,
Federation
так сказати.
had
Але
been
ми
created
проводимо
for
перше
a
засідання
long time ago,
Палати фахівців.
we are conducting the first
Зустрічаємося так
meeting.
з вами. Чому? Тому що
And
були
we're
на те
meeting like
об'єктивні
this.
причини.
Why only now? Because
Спочатку
there were
це
reasons for that.
пандемія
First there was
COVID-19,
COVID
потім
pandemic,
закінчилася така
then there
велика
was
трагедія, агресія
big tragedy started,
Російської
which
Федерації
is
проти нашої
Russian
держави.
aggression
Тому й
against
не було
Ukraine.
часу нам
So I had
зібратися,
no time
щоб
to
обговорити
get together and
питання,
discuss all
які
the
стоять
important
перед
questions
нами.
that we
Перед
face.
Українською Федерацією професійних
Ukrainian
медичних
Federation
об'єднань
of Professional
і,
Medical
зокрема, перед Палатою фахівців. Сьогодні, як
Associations
я вже казав,
the
буде
Chamber of
перше
Experts.
засідання,
This is the
на
first
яке
meeting.
було запрошено учасники
We
Палати фахівців з
invited
понад
members of
90
the
організацій,
Chamber from
членів
over 90
Української Федерації
organizations,
професійних медичних
members of
об'єднань,
Ukrainian
а
Federation
також
of Professional
представників
Medical
державних
Unions
органів та стейкхолдерів, наших перших партнерів у
governmental
справі розвитку
stakeholders
медичної
and other
науки,
partners
освіти
in
та навчання,
medical education
постійне
science,
підвищення рівня професійності медичних працівників та сприяння
excellence
інноваційного
of
розвитку
medical workers,
галузі загалом.
the development and growth of medical
На
industry.
початку нашого засідання
At the beginning of
привітати
our
наших
meeting, I would like to
почесних
have a
гостей,
word of greeting to
наших
our esteemed
колег,
guests,
я б так сказав, які
our
дієво
colleagues
приймають участь в
who
роботі нашої
effectively
федерації. Це
help
голову
our
профільного
federation's
комітету Верховної
activities,
Ради
the
України,
head of the
народного
profile
депутата
committee
України,
from the
Радуцького
parliament,
Михайла Борисовича,
the MP,
представника
Mr. Radusky,
Міністерства охорони здоров'я і
representative
також
of the Ministry
представника
of Health
Ради
and
національної безпеки і оборони
the
України.
representative of
З
the
великою
Council of
приємністю хочу
Security and Defense.
окремо та особисто і також від
Specifically,
вашого імені
and on your
привітати наших
behalf, I would
європейських
like to
колег,
greet our European colleagues
які прийняти
who
участь у
agreed to
нашому
participate in this
засіданні,
meeting,
звісно, онлайн.
of course,
Це
online.
президент Європейської
And it's
асоціації
the president
медичних фахівців,
of European Association of Medical Professionals,
Папалоїс з
Vasilis Papalois
Великобританії,
from Great Britain,
генеральний секретар цієї
General
організації
Secretary of this
доктор Джао
organization,
Грану з Португалії
Dr. Joe
та
Granos
координатор
from Portugal,
комунікації
and
доктор
coordinator
Ромуальд
of
Краєвський з
communication
Польщі.
Romuald Krajewski from
Привітаємо.
Poland.
Да. І як я вже
As I
сказав
already
вище,
mentioned,
сьогодні відбудеться наше перше
this is
засідання,
our first meeting
присвячене здебільшого
dedicated
організаційним
to
моментам. Тому
organizational
прошу, шановні колеги, активно
things and
брати участь
housekeeping.
у
So
голосуванні,
please
тому що організаційні моменти в
participate
основному
actively in
зв'язані
the
з
voting,
виборчою роботою.
because
Після
housekeeping
офіційної
is
частини,
more
яка
about the
закладає
election,
стратегічні напрямки нашої
then
роботи,
after this official part
Палати
with about
фахівців буде
strategic
проведено
work,
організаційну
we will
частину,
then
які
conduct an
заплановано
organizational
спільно.
part, which
Перше,
is
це обрати
we plan
секретаря.
to elect the secretary and 5 deputies of the head of the Chamber of
Української
Experts.
федерації професійних медичних об'єднань, затвердити
Ukrainian
попередньо
Federation of
опрацьований проект положення про палату
Workers
фахівців,
and the draft
конкретизувати критерії
provision
до делегування
on
в члени
the Chamber's
палати
activities,
фахівців,
criteria
розглянути
for
перелік
election of
палати
members,
фахівців,
review the
прийнятий на
list of
засіданні Ради представників ще 18
the leadership
листопада
which was
2021 року
passed
з
back in
врахуванням погоджень
November
членів та
18,
медичної ради
2021,
Федерації
as agreed
професійних
with
медичних об'єднань України.
Medical Council of the
Розглянути
Federation, and
пропозиції,
we will review
які
the
надали
proposals
асоціації члени
that the
Федерації щодо
members have
переліку та
provided
кандидатів до складу
in terms of
експертних груп.
list of candidates to the expert group of the Ministry of Health of Ukraine, as agreed during the meeting of the Scientific Council and Medical Council. Here the heads of the committees of Ukraine Federation, professional medical unions, and provide candidates for the Chamber of Professionals, Chamber of Experts. Then we listen to proposals as to the areas for the committee's work, and also include those questions in the category miscellaneous. But at the start of our work, let's honor the memory about the fallen warriors and civilians who died in this war of Russia against Ukraine. Thank you. So, to conduct our meeting, I suggest the General Secretary of the Ukrainian Federation embrace the role of the Secretary. Thank you. We begin the inauguration part of our first meeting of the Chamber of Experts. And the first word will be to head the profile committee of the Parliament. Mr. Radutsky is online with us. Unfortunately, interpreters cannot hear the sound at the moment. The Parliament and the government has already tried to resolve this question. Hopefully it will be successful. And the plans of the work, the draft law on self-governance is in the plan, is in pipeline. It's a governmental draft law. It's been going through final approval in the Secretariat of Cabinet Ministers of Ukraine, and in the near future it will be introduced for the voting chamber, and the committee will review it before the first reading. The document, after the public discussions, contains what remains, and it includes creating the 5 chambers of medical profession, the chamber of doctors of family, healthcare specialists, dentists, medical specialists, and pharmaceutics. It's only logical, and it's important, and it's my personal opinion why specifically it's so important to have healthcare self-government or medical professional self-governance, so that they're not the bureaucrats in the parliament or healthcare departments issue licenses and permits for doctors for professional activities, but professional community. When we talk with different representatives of medical profession, we usually hear, yeah, we'll support you and we want the self-governance in the medical profession, especially in the part which relegates the authority from executive branch to medical self-governance, as it works in the EU. But in the years of independence, we still haven't formed a unified position in these issues. I'm confident that most of the people present here will be included in the chambers if the law will be passed. And the faces we see here today in this esteemed congregation are those experts in each area who are competent enough and professional enough to define professional standards of our profession. And also the committee regularly engages experts and professionals to drafting of the draft laws, and Vyacheslav Kamiensky is a great example of that in cooperating with experts and assisting the committee. For us, it's very important to have a feedback from practitioners who are well versed in these professional areas. So I'm looking forward for this meeting. I wish you all great health and peaceful skies and great work. Yeah, thank you. We are cooperating quite actively in self-governance and general development of our industry. Now I pass the floor to the Minister of Health. Please, we expect an online intervention. While we're waiting the Ministry of Health representatives, we expect in 5 seconds. We're trying to establish contact. So, dear colleagues, while the ministry is trying to establish connection, I would like to pass the floor to Alexei Solovyov, our colleague, who is part of the NSNDC, National Council of Security and Defense, who is participating in our meeting. So the word of greeting, please, from your part. Greetings to the Chamber of Experts from the Civil Council. Dear colleagues, I'm happy to congratulate you. So I'm very happy to greet you all and congratulate you with the start of work with Ukrainian Federation of Professional unions. It's important for any public policy to coordinate public institutions together with the civil sector in healthcare. It has an important and principal importance. The Ukrainian Federation represents interests of a huge number of healthcare professionals, unions, and associations, and their task is to outline the primary tasks. The HR and staffing of the healthcare profession in the wartime becomes an issue of national security. The issue of educational qualification permits.
Alternative to which we cannot find in this world. So, in any initiate of the forming of different types of this sphere is fine. So, I wish you a great enthusiasm, optimistic mood, and of course, great mood. And I wish you great health. Thank you, the organization, for this work. It's very important. And first of all, we make it during the wartime. So the forming of our powerful medical association isn't stop. So thank you, everyone, and have a nice. Thank you, Alexei Stanislavovich. Thank you for meeting, and I would like to introduce the thoughts of our community that the fact of the community is it's very important for our federation. So thank you for our relationship, and I think that together we are able to achieve progress in not only development but dear colleagues, so we have got some technical issues. So the -3. So some technical problems. So I'm passing the word from William, the president of UEMS. Hi. So, please, with pleasure. Can you hear us? Can you hear us? Yeah, thank you. Are you ready for your speech?
Посадили. Нас так посадили. А камера сюда стоит.
Hello? Professor Papalois, can you see us? Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Do you want me to start my presentation?
Yeah, could you please say a few words like inauguration? and then afterwards we will go on with the presentation. Just a few words to welcome the participants of the Ukrainian Federation of Professional Medical Organization as a general meeting. Thank you.
Of course. Good afternoon, colleagues. My name is Vasilios Papalois. I'm the president of the European Union of Medical Specialists, and I'm currently in Athens for the Congress of the European Society of Organ Transplantation. It's my hometown, although, as you know, I live and work in the United Kingdom for almost 30 years. So warm regards from a very warm city, from Athens to our colleagues in Ukraine. And I would like to express on behalf of all my colleagues in the European Union of Medical Specialists our most grateful thanks for your most kind invitation to this prestigious Congress. The first thing I would like to say, as we have said many times, loudly and clearly, to any direction we can, is the solidarity of our organization and all European medical specialists and all European doctors to our colleagues in Ukraine and the Ukrainian people, to the great struggle that they are going through. Ukraine at the moment is not fighting only for Ukraine, but is fighting also for European ideas and ideals. Ukraine is fighting for all of us, and for that reason you have our full commitment and our full solidarity. President Kennedy in the early 60s stood in front of the Berlin Wall during the Cold War, and he looked at the wall and he said that all free citizens of the world are citizens of Berlin, and we are all Berliners. And today, the equivalent is that all free citizens of the world are citizens of Ukraine. And today, all free people are Ukrainians. And we are very, very proud of that. You have our full solidarity, and we are looking forward to working with you in developing medical education and medical training and projects of professional development, which is the area of expertise of our organization, hand in hand with you during that time of conflict and way, of course, beyond that. We are very proud and truly delighted that Ukraine is represented in our organization, and we're looking forward to working with you constructively to build together the future. Again, thank you so very much for your kind invitation, and I'm looking forward a little bit later on for my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Professor Papalois. It is really our great honor to have you with us today and to have you say this inauguration speech. And thank you very much for your words of support for the Ukraine and for the Ukrainian Federation of Professional Medical Organizations. These words are really very much important for us because we are, as an organization, as the largest medical organization in the Ukraine, looking very much forward into integrating towards the European community, and that is indeed our, our goal, our vision, and our road that we are going on to making steps further to be, as a medical community, as all the medical professionals in the Ukraine, to be integrated towards the European Union. So thank you very much for your kind words. And шановні колеги,
Dear colleagues, I would like to pass my word. Okay, so we're going to involve the translation because, yeah.
I'll translate right now your speech a little bit, and afterwards when you have the presentation, if you could please speak word by word with the translator, if that is okay.
Отже, пане Папалоїс зауважив в своєму вступному слові, що зараз він знаходиться в своєму рідному місті, де знаходиться відділення по трансплантології. Він, по-перше, висловив дуже щиру подяку за ваші зусилля, вашу роботу і за те, що є можливість долучитися до неї. Також він висловив сердечну солідарність цієї лікарської спільноти європейської з українським народом, з українськими професіоналами, фахівцями. І передав ті слова, що українці зараз б'ються не тільки за суверенітет і територіальну недоторканність самої України, а за цінності та ідеї, на яких тримається взагалі вільний світ, світ прогресу, свободи та розвитку. Він згадав про те, що під час падіння Берлінської стіни американський президент тоді сказав, що кожен громадянин вільного світу від сьогодні стає громадянином Берліну. І отже, пан Папалоїс сказав, що від сьогодні кожен громадянин свободного світу в Європі є солідарний з громадянами України, які б'ються за ці засади вільного світу. І пліч-опліч з вами, шановні українські фахівці медичної сфери.
Дякую за переклад, шановні колеги. І мені велика честь надати слово
And
представнику
I'm going to pass my word with a huge honor. Dear Mr. Shkribanet, and here is with us now, and here he is going to say some greeting words. So, dear colleagues, unfortunately, the president of the National Academy of Medical, he has a plan to visit this kind of meeting, but unfortunately he visits a funeral now because it's a passing ceremony of the honorable man who was one of the most
Активним та реальним партнером Української Федерації професійних медичних об'єднань і передаю побажання, щоб сьогоднішня праця учасників нашого зібрання була плідною, а в подальшому ефективною і продуктивною на користь нашої держави, яка обов'язково переможе і буде розвиватися, в тому числі і в напрямку вдосконалення медичної галузі. Дякую за увагу.
Дякуємо, шановний Ігор Дмитрович. Дякую за інавгураційну промову від імені Академії медичних наук. Шановні колеги, я хочу переспросити, чи маємо ми конект з Міністерством охорони здоров'я, чи маємо ми представника онлайн? Ні, немає, так? Щось, звісно, ми продовжуємо, але поки що у нас немає конекту, вони не під'єдналися. Окей, ми чекаємо, поки вони під'єднаються, а тим часом, шановні колеги, я хочу надати слово академіку Камінському Вячеславу Володимировичу. Прошу, Вячеслав,
дякую. Шановні колеги, сьогодні дуже серйозне зібрання і дуже серйозний крок вперед нашої Федерації професійних медичних об'єднань. Я, користуючись нагодою, хочу подякувати академіку Володимировичу Заболотному, який очолював федерацію, до того, як ми зробили цей новий крок, який ми сьогодні робимо. Дякуємо вам, дякуємо, що ви з нами. Дякуємо за те, що зберегли Федерацію протягом років. Я хотів би згадати професора Ткаченка Андрія, який доклав зусиль, коли ми проводили процес оновлення Федерації. І сьогодні хочу сказати, що Федерація пройшла дуже серйозний шлях. Чуть більше 30 асоціацій, які входять до складу. Ми сьогодні вже цифру 90 чуємо. Більше 80 тисяч входять до складу Федерації. І ми бачимо дуже гарну еволюцію тих завдань і тих рішень, які вже зробила Федерація. І сьогоднішнє ми з вами пам'ятаємо, що було декілька засідань, і ми відпрацювали дуже велику частину роботи Рада представників, яку очолює член-кореспондент Академії Кучин Юрій Леонідович по відбору. Ви знаєте, що більше 300 професійних асоціацій сьогодні на теренах України.
300 professional associations exist in Ukraine, but even all the people who wanted to be members could not yet be included because the bar is very high and the requirements are quite high. So the associations that want to become members have to meet those expectations. So this today's event is a fruit of labor of many people, and I'm thankful to Vasil, academician Lazurishin, who is an elected president. So we fully show all of our partners and colleagues that we have this close connection between the president, Mr. Petrolich, me, and Vasil, who is the next elected president. And then Vasil will start working as an acting president. The successor will be elected. And by doing so, we need this transfer of values and behavior that we propagate is kept alive. So thank you, Yuri Hyashchenko, for taking this commitment and important function to head the Chamber of Experts, because the Chamber of Experts is the bridge that connects so many things. You've heard the greeting of Mikhail Radutsky. So far, we didn't have the connection with the ministry, but you will hear that our Council of Experts has many practical people who will be talking, and then a connection with the vertical and horizontal connection with the Ministry of Health, proper governance of certain areas and professions within the medical industry. So this is a historical event for us all, for all of our federation. Very important, very meaningful, and the attendance of our esteemed colleagues, Professor Papalouis and his colleagues, is a guarantee that our voice will be heard in a powerful European community, which is the European Council of Medical Experts. Thank you so much. Have a great event and keep up the great work in the future.
Дякую вам, Вячеслав Володимирович. Шановні колеги, і ми фіналізуємо вітальні наші слова.
So as we finalize the words of greeting and the introductory part, we can now proceed to the official part of our meeting, which is the first meeting of the Chamber of Experts. We have 16 members offline and 36 elected representatives of Chamber of Experts online. So we have the quorum. And those representatives who are, according to the statute of the Federation, we are legitimately approved to have the meeting, and so let's establish the following order. The presentation up to 20 minutes, intervention to 5 minutes, remarks up to 2 minutes. If nobody objects, dear colleagues, I think we can proceed to the next issue on the agenda, which is election of the secretary of this meeting and the accounting committee. So the secretary position is suggested to So the secretary of this meeting is suggested the National University of Healthcare, Professor Romanenko, Tamara Grigorievna, who is offline with us. In the accounting committee, it is suggested to include Igor Gushchuk and Vsevolod Soldatov, and the head of the accounting committee is going to be Angela Basanets. If there are no objections regarding the personnel, let's put it for the voting. So regarding the voting, the present parties from the Chamber of Experts can vote just by raising a hand. If the colleagues are present offline, just a thumbs up. If you're against something, put it in the chat so that the accounting committee can put it on the record. And the colleagues who are against an issue, please provide comments. Those who refrain from voting, also please, there's noted. We still have the time frame for voting for 2 days. Those who didn't join offline and looking at this as a recording will still have a day and a half to vote. And please send your votes to the email of SoftMed, the results of your vote on each of these issues. It will all be added to the protocol and we'll add to the democratic voting. So, dear colleagues, I suggest to vote for the personnel within the accounting committee and the secretary. Please vote. Who is against? Refrained? Thank you. So it's been approved. So the secretary is elected and the accounting committee as well. Dear accounting committee, please proceed to work. And dear Tamara, please join in the work as the secretary of this meeting. So dear colleagues, the agenda was forwarded to all of you before. So if, according to the situation with the martial law or for some other reason, we need to break, I think we will be able to determine how to properly do this break or recess. Let's proceed to the official part. I'm happy to give the floor to an academician, PhD in medicine, professor, head of the Council of Experts, Yuri Fashion.com, for presentation. So before I begin, before I provide my presentation, we put it in for 3 hours, then for 3 or 2.5, then 2 hours, and now we'll see what is in the digest. I will try to be concise. Before that, I want to draw your attention that maybe it is not a random event that it's the 19th of September. Because 19th of September, Christianity celebrates one of the biggest mysteries, the St. Michael's miracle. Let it send the bliss and joy for the whole world, and let the ideas and intentions will be clean, and let the hearts of us all be full of love and peace and sincerity. Since we have voted, I think that serves as a sign of readiness.
We need to take care about our professional future and our medical sphere in Ukraine. So on our first meeting of the Chamber of the Specialists, I proposed you to take a look on the different kinds of tools for our future medical profession and, of course, for our medical in general. So, as the head of the Verkhovna Rada said, since 20 and 16 years, so it's continuous. So now we're working on the register of doctors and developing of continuous medical education, and we need to form the HR policy and organization of continuous medical education and provision of the principles of medical professional education. So, the structure. Today, it's this question is very actual because of the Russian invasion and the wartime. The more than was the percentage of civils needs to have a kind of medical. So, our partner is a National Academy of Medical Sciences and Shupik National Healthcare University. But let's back to our topic. The Chamber of Specialists is becoming an active part of the health of Ministry of Ukraine. So it includes 43 professions according to the UEMS, and 17 including profession which are connected with a specific of the life of our country. Slightly, with the Ministry of Health of Ukraine, we are developing the Institute of the main specialists of the ministry with the best European practices. And the main thing is that the Chamber of Specialists has an influence on the great relationship with the different kinds of committees. So we have got an example of for the creation of UVPMO, and we took a model from the European UEMS, and we need to say thank you for UEMS representative for their presenting here. And I want to say a few words about the European Union of Medical. So it is an organization of the European Union, which includes professional medical representatives. So now, as I said, the European Medical Specialist Organization is the oldest, which will have a remarkable date, 65 years from the establishment. It includes the board, General Assembly, and so that's why now we have a prototype of your board. So it includes 43 specialized sections. So they care about the education which connected with different types of medical professions. Also, we have got 17 departments and disciplinary federations. So that's why we're harmonizing a list of different kind of medical specializations.
Крім того, саме тому, що у нас аналогічна кількість представників від федерації до палати фахівців, структура та функції органів управління та координації нашої федерації також структурно-функціонально гармонізовані.
Similar is the structure of our coordination and management is harmonized with the European structures.
We're sure that providing of the medical self-regulation is very important for our next generation of medical qualified personnel, and so that's why we will have a good quality of the health care for the patients.
A great impact thanks to cooperation of professional medical associations, the unified voice and representation, the prevalence in key medical profession, support between separate professions and as a platform of our federation, and resolution of interdisciplinary questions. A reliable foundation for accreditation, educational programs, and non-stop professional development, as well as design of new approved models of training according to the requirements of employers, and clear goal setting. We focus on three main aspects: representation of medical profession and introduction of standards, including professional standards, promotion of interest of each medical profession, definition of medical standards, promotion of higher standards of excellence in training, then advocacy, recommendations in terms of initiatives and legislation, legal frame, legal expertise, coordination of participation projects funded by international community, and self-governance, promotion and support of the policy of healthcare ministry. Next is accreditation of expert associations, implementation of quality assessment system, educational materials, e-education, high quality and competence of medical workers, improvement of management, quality assurance in medical service. As of profile, medical associations will unanimously support these areas of concentration of efforts of the Chamber of Experts. This requires, of course, that the Chamber fulfills these functions that you have already read in the forwarded provision of the Chamber. We have to provide representation of medical professionals of all specialties. Secondly, provide communication and constructive relations with independent and state institutions, independent European associations, scientific communities, provide standardization of medical assistance and medical services, thanks to development, approval, and harmonization of standards of high quality medical practice to further implement by governmental structures, and finally to provide motivation, creating incentives to implement these recommendations. This list complies with the main areas and statute functions of our federation and provides and requires concretization in the statutes of profile different professional associations. That's what we're doing. The Chamber of Experts only expedites this process and spreads it wider to healthcare industry. And then the question of the value and efficacy of these associations. The main functions are development of professional responsibility for quality, development of prospective indicators of quality, external quality assurance that is conducted by specialized institutions, spread of information about the best and most effective projects of quality assurance, implementation of best practices, learning of the best practices. What do we need to achieve these goals? We fully support the views of European associations of medical workers in terms of goals set. And the sections were created for each medical specialty. The general accreditation system of non-stop medical education and lifelong education for post-diploma education, improvement of quality of the services, creating work groups of the questions that are pertinent to medical workers, organization of seminars and conferences. So, caring about each profession, the system of non-stop professional development and management and quality assurance of medical services, these are the main areas for activity of the Chamber of Experts and Federation in general. And that's what we're doing right now. We create, together with the Ministry of Health and the National Academy of Medical Sciences of Ukraine, the area-wide Council of Standards. We've listed the main employers, professional unions, educational facilities, and together with professional associations, comprise the list and the content and members of these groups. Of high priority for us is the discussion of the existing European requirements for training in these profile associations and their implementation in Ukraine. We're fully confident that the quality of medical assistance and the experience, they're all directly related to quality. They require constant development.
It doesn't matter where the medical worker studies, they need to have the same position for the way of studying. So in the Europe, each member of this kind of organization has their own way of application, and everyone have next next action. So the creation of the base to make up a European studying standards, the creation of mechanism of the evaluation for the medical workers on the European level, and the organization of the European exams in this way. So I need to take a look on these types of working ways for. So I need to take a look on the different types of our ways of UFMS work. The Ukrainian Federation of Medical Organization.
So, for proper recommendations of high quality education, this charter has established proper approaches in harmonization of post-diploma specialized medical assistance. The foundation of it has become the periodically updated trainings separately for each specialty. It is them who introduced the highest standards of specialized medical training, which in our reality has to be accompanied with cooperation between the Medical Council, the Chamber of Experts, and the National Healthcare University. For instance, European exams is the final stage before the start of the independent work of doctors, and the quality assurance of the training in our realities has to be accompanied with cooperation between the Medical Chamber and the National University of Healthcare. 8 medical training centers accredited by European Association of Medical Specialists in Europe is present, but still not created in Ukraine. But that's our objective, and we have these opportunities thanks to close cooperation of simulation centers, of universities and leading clinics at the National University of Healthcare. As we can see, during the coordination interaction, we have all the prospects to actualize these achievements in our country, especially in non-stop professional development. Our objectives here is legal frameworks, oversight over ethical norms, and professional oversight. Of course, the lifelong medical education and the lifelong professional development is a moral and ethical commitment of any medical professional. So that's why medical directives of European Union in particular pertain to basic medical education and post-diploma studies. Aside from that, the European Union does not require a mandatory system of lifelong professional development. But in order to coordinate and provide better quality control, we did provide a procedure of accreditation of activity with the system of credits, hours for medical professionals. In Europe, the Accreditation Council fulfills this function. This European Accreditation Council provides a gradual transition from voluntary to mandatory accreditation in European and international level with the accreditation of training materials. That's how accreditation is built of a lifelong qualification. So what is the professional system aimed, the European system of professional development aimed? The main objective is to create the environment, the ethical, professional, and legal environment. Let's go back to our reality and the place of Chamber of Experts and Federation in the professional development in particular. We believe that these principles of education and implementation of training rules corresponds to MURA model, the MURA model. In them, the 4 steps of lifelong professional development, which is according to the aforementioned trajectory of professional development of a doctor, which is accounting for visits, satisfaction of expectations, results of the training, and the procedure, also what and how. The competence in educational sphere and self-observation, and the correspondence with the providers of lifelong professional development. Stage 3 is only provided partially, but stage 4 only satisfied by powerful providers with powerful professional associations. With stages 5 and 6, which is professional productivity, health of patients, improvement of their situation, this has to be done together with employers of healthcare establishments, using professional medical associations, as coordinated by our federation, and also partners, analytical systems, like for instance, National University of Healthcare. And stage 7, epidemiological education indications. It requires coordination from Healthcare Ministry, Information Analytics Center, receives information from the participants. On the overlap of these generalizations, the Ministry of Health is strategic area, professional associations together with National Healthcare University is tactical, and profile professional associations, they provide basic trajectory of professional doctors' development. So let's see how the transformation of a system of assessment of professional competence of medical workers. First of all, we have to restore the destroyed administrative communication. So the hubs, the departments and clinical departments based in healthcare ministry and the hospital, we have to reformat the system of interconnections. The doctor is responsible for self-analysis, self-development. Professional association as the contractor, as a coordinator and controller, employer as a guarantor of medical services and medical care. The primary goal is make the effective lifelong professional development and improvement of competences of medical professionals, improvement of services for specific patients, health for a nation in general. That is facilitated by European experience of lifelong professional development within a specific medical profession.
So, in this way, we form the solidarity of the doctor and the employee of the professional association. On the way of the development of the providing of the quality of the health care and the improvement of our health care, so we have got some risks. Now in Ukraine we haven't got a kind of the forming of educational provider is a technology which we need to educate someone, and that next we need to provide the solidarity responsibilities of the doctor, employee, profession, state and the providers for the ending result. Then the doctor need to understand that education is a guarantee in the quality of his medical sphere. So only responsibility for the quality of the medical services is the main way to improve our continuous medical education. So in general, we make some kind of new ways to provide a kind of new way of our medical sphere. In general, medical profession is a leader in our self-professional preparedness and continuous professional development. For this, we need to implement ETR in Ukraine and create the accreditation centers for improvement of the preparedness of the medical workers, and it is our priority. Then the cooperation with medical association and organs of the European Union. And our main aim is to work with a European kind of. We are caring about our profession. Let's start for care of our profession, especially the standards of our medical sphere. And we will work it, and we will win, and we will do that. I'm sorry that it was very short. Thank you, Yuri Ivanovich. Thank you for this kind of beautiful lecture about these main parts of the coordination of our development and continuous work of the Chamber of Specialists. And you said one of the main moment that coordination of our work with committee and governmental organs, and we need to provide our co-worker together, and we need to take the word to our president of UEMS, the Professor Vasilios Papalois, and he has a presentation about the medical education in European Union, how it goes, and what about the perspectives, and what about the integration of Ukraine with Ukrainian non-governmental education. Thank you.
Make a presentation already. I just wanted to make a short note. If you can, after each slide, make a small pause, so our local interpreter could be able to, to interpret, to make a translation for the auditory here, and then we will, after each slide, after the translation, we will go to the next slide. If that is okay.
Thank you so very much. I will try to share my screen. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, but we
yes,
can.
Everything is okay. Right. Can you please allow me to share my screen? Because it says the host disabled participant sharing. If you can allow me to share my screen. Is it possible? When I try to share my screen, it says that the host has disabled the share screening. Is it possible to undo it kindly? Thank you so much. And I hope that you can see my slides clearly. And first of all, again, to express my most sincere gratitude to our Ukrainian colleagues for their kind invitation to this very prestigious Congress. I don't speak Ukrainian, most unfortunately, and I couldn't hear the English translation, but my esteemed colleague, Professor Krajewski, informed me that the previous speaker gave a very comprehensive presentation about our organization, which I was delighted to hear, and very honored to hear that our Ukrainian colleagues are so well familiar with our organization. I will try to emphasize from my point of view a few more specific issues, and especially the areas where I believe that, not only me personally, but our organization believes that we can have areas of collaboration. So I will pause for a second for the translation which will take place.
Ну, по-перше, ще раз дякую за запрошення взяти участь в такій поважній кампанії.
I'm very thankful that I participate in this honorable event, and with pleasure I have listened Mr. Krajewski previously, and I have known a lot of interesting ideas, and I want to mention that we have got the same thing together, and thank you.
I would like to start first of all by saying a few words about the principles and the structure of our organization. And as you can see here, the UMS is an organization that is 65 years older, 6.5 decades. It's an area which is in Europe and beyond. It has under its membership the 27 countries of the European Union, 3 countries of the European Economic Area, and Switzerland and the United Kingdom. And also there are another 10 members, which are 5 associate members, which are members of the Council of Europe. Ukraine is one of them, and 5 observing members are from countries we are beyond Europe and outside the Council of Europe.
Із того, що було почуто, ось ви бачите базові дані про нашу організацію. Вона налічує вже 65 років існування. 10, ви бачите деяку розбивку, з яких країн, з яких районів члени нашої організації. Є 10 країн-членів з Ради Європи, серед них також Україна, і є декілька країн, які знаходяться в статусі спостерігача.
Yes, please.
Thank you. The headquarters of the organization is at the Domus Medica Europea in Brussels, which is a 5-story building, a stone throw away from the European headquarters. And it was designed from the very beginning to work as a hub for all European doctors, all the members of our organization, but all European doctors to meet and work together, network together, and together shape the future of our vocation.
Можна почути було, що наш основний офіс знаходиться в Брюсселі неподалік від основних офісів Ради Європи і основних законодавчих органів ЄС. Наразі поки
65 years of history, and the 3 pylons of the UEMS, the 3 big elements of our work, are our national medical associations, which are basically the members of the organizations, and the full members are the ones who have the voting rights, but 41 countries through their national medical associations are represented in the UEMS, and this is the first pylon of our organization. We have under these 90 specialist bodies that are the working groups that they do all the day-to-day work on the ground. And finally, an ever-growing list of partnerships at the European and international level with colleges, universities, professional organizations, European scientific societies, European professional organizations, and so on. Very strong partnerships which we expand by the day. A total of 1.7 million medical professionals are represented under the umbrella of the UEMS via their national medical associations.
Отже, за 65 років існування нашої організації в неї увійшло вже 1 мільйон 700 тисяч медичних працівників, які є членами різних медичних асоціацій, 90 спеціалізованих органів, багатьох вже встановлених партнерств з 41 країни світу. І також, як спеціалізовані органи, у нас є робочі групи, які з'ясовують буквально на місцях в різних установах медичних про потреби і різні робочі питання, які потім виносяться на програмні засідання і так далі.
The main aims of the UEMS is to advance European health policy, to promote collaboration of medical specialists in Europe, and this is where we can work together very clearly, promote high standards of education and training, high standards of clinical practice and care, quality assurance in specialist training, practice and care, something that becomes more and more prominent in the agenda, and finally promote continuing medical education and professional development. We strongly believe that all these are domains that our Ukrainian colleagues and all colleagues within the UEMS, we can work together and support each other for the better of our profession and the better of our patients.
Я ж візуально маю, щоб бачити. Мені треба екран. Отже, основні цілі існування нашої організації. По-перше, це просувати політику охорони здоров'я ЄС, просувати співпрацю між медичними працівниками та фахівцями в Європі, просувати високі стандарти освіти та навчання, також високі стандарти клінічної практики та піклування про пацієнтів, контроль якості та просування більш високих стандартів якості в навчанні спеціалізованих практиків та продовження медичної освіти та професійного розвитку медичних працівників.
Thank you. And the question, colleagues, is as to why we need to have this collaboration, why we want to have the collaboration of all the nations represented in the UEMS at the European level in the field of CME, CPD. And the first and very clear answer to this is because, in principle, the UEMS believes in European collaboration and integration, and we believe, without a shred of a doubt, that we are better together, we can learn from each other, we can support each other, and we can progress much better. They say usually that if you want to go in life fast, go on your own. If you want to go far, then go with others. We strongly believe in that, and we are looking forward to working with you in principle and in practice in this situation.
Ну і також важливе запитання, з якою метою ми так затято переслідуємо саме інтеграцію різних медичних працівників з різних країн і спільну роботу. Тому що, як є древнє прислів'я, якщо хочеш кудись дійти швидко, йди наодинці. Але якщо ти хочеш дійти кудись найбільш далеко, куди ніколи не заходив, і треба йти разом з іншими фахівцями. І саме такий лейтмотив нашої діяльності ми і зберігаємо. І для цього ми постійно налагоджуємо зв'язки з все більше і більше медичними працівниками з різних країн Європи.
But beyond this matter of principle, our belief in principle in European collaboration and integration, there are, colleagues, certain realities and necessities in modern healthcare and healthcare practice which are way beyond borders.
Ну, а також, окрім того, що наша мета об'єднання – це для швидкого прогресу, для поширення найкращих практик. Окрім цього, ми ще зважаємо на сучасні реалії і на потреби в охороні здоров'я, які, в принципі, вже не враховують кордони. Потреби ці, якщо виникає проблема, то вона виникає не в одній країні, а одразу в декількох. Тому нам потрібна спільна робота одразу, і ми маємо до неї бути готові.
And I would like to mention a few of them, the more characteristic ones, I believe. First and foremost is the fact that healthcare professionals, and especially doctors, is the most movable profession, not across Europe, but across actually the world. And we have seen that we have movement of healthcare professionals, we have of course movement of patients. And what we have seen, especially over the last few years, and especially when it comes to dealing with catastrophes like the COVID pandemic, or the catastrophes related to climate change like wildfires, floods and other major catastrophes, the healthcare systems across the European continent are totally interconnected.
І от як практичний приклад, чому і як виправдовується наш підхід до об'єднання зусиль між різними країнами, це таке поняття, як мобільність. Мобільність медиків означає, що вони не так, як раніше, постійно працюють і живуть тільки в одній місцині, в одній країні. А тепер, якщо виникає якась кризова ситуація, така як пандемія ковід, або такі, як через кліматичні зміни, часто виникаючи постійні лиха, медичним працівникам доводиться мобілізуватись і пересуватись між різними країнами, де вони найбільш потрібні. І отже, це стала одна з найбільш мобільних професій в світі через це.
Also, we have this very important piece of European legislation that doesn't talk about the rights of the patients to move, but it talks about the rights of the patients who move, and puts emphasis, massive emphasis, on quality of training, quality of care and quality of outcomes, which is a challenge clearly beyond borders that require pan-European collaboration.
Також треба зазначити, що одна з ключових директив ЄС – це директива про охорону здоров'я, визначає фундаментальне право пацієнтів на пересування. Тобто ЄС – це велика країна з умовними кордонами. І якщо пацієнт розраховував на одну якість охорони здоров'я, надання медичних послуг в одній країні і раптом мусив переїхати в іншу, він має право розраховувати на таку ж саму високу якість наданих медичних послуг в цій іншій країні. І через це ми маємо тримати високу планку якості як в медичному підготовці медичних працівників, наданні медичних послуг в усіх країнах, де ми працюємо.
Also, we have the phenomenon of specialties, subspecialties, and more competencies under these specialties that require collaboration between nations for these very niche areas to be able to have the critical mass that we need when it comes to expertise and practice to be able to deal with these very difficult situations. And the European reference networks, one of the most successful projects of the European Union, are testimony to this actually, and this is another area where we can foresee a future collaboration with you and all European nations.
І ще одна деталь про необхідність співпраці між різними країнами – це дуже широка спеціалізація медичних працівників. Ви бачите на слайді, скільки є зараз спеціалізації, субспеціалізації, різних підрозділів підготовки і підготовки медичних працівників. Отже, там, де виникає потреба в вирішенні певних проблем в охороні здоров'я, ми теж маємо надавати високу якість цих послуг, а значить, там має бути наявність тих необхідних спеціалізацій медичних працівників. Для цього, знову ж таки, вони мають бути мобільними, вони мають бути підготовленими, опинитися там, де найбільше потрібні. І ось для цього слугує наша ініціатива, яка називається Європейська мережа, референтна мережа, яка зараз вже успішно показує результати.
Also, we have the phenomenon of the invasion of technology into medical practice, not only in the context of the use of advanced technology in operations and procedures, but the total digitalization of healthcare, including, of course, the massive issue of artificial intelligence, with all the advantages and the challenges that it poses. These are massive issues which are without any question beyond borders and require cross-border collaboration.
І ще один аспект, який вимагає від нас такого колективного підходу, де вже не можна лише в одній країні сконцентрувати всю спеціалізацію, а саме, як вказує пан професор, така серйозна інвазивність технологій в нашу роботу. Тобто технологічні рішення, як апаратні, так і програмні, в тому числі штучний інтелект та його різні застосунки, проникають вже в усі деталі нашої професії, починаючи від операційної до палат і до складення анамнезу, всіх операцій, всієї діяльності. І для цього ми маємо теж мобілізувати зусилля і підготовку наших фахівців не лише в одній країні, а в усіх країнах, де ми можемо і маємо працювати, де буде потреба найбільше.
Also, the fact that we have now universal access to e-learning that has revolutionized completely the way medical specialist education and education altogether is provided. This universal phenomenon requires a much more collaborative and universal approach.
Ну і також з чого почалася ця електронна інформаційна революція. Це з початком інтернету, який повністю перегорнув і зробив надзвичайний стрибок для освіти, в тому числі освіти медичних працівників. І інтернет став, можна сказати, нашою нервовою системою. І отже, там, де він сягає, там розповсюджується знання, що прискорює дуже сильно сам процес підготовки і процес розповсюдження знань.
Also, the phenomenon of open access publications, which by law, both in Europe and the United States, supports the principle that access to science should be available to all that they need it and not only to those who can pay for it. But on the other hand, creates the issue of assuring quality of those publications to be up to standards and not to be converted into a totally commercialized process.
Також в плані розповсюдження знань уже в багатьох країнах, в тому числі в США, за законодавством медичні публікації, професійні медичні публікації мають бути доступними не тільки для тих, хто може і в змозі заплатити за них, але й для всіх, хто потребує цих знань. Це з двох сторін вимагає, по-перше, відповідної якості, а не тільки комерційної цінності цих матеріалів, і відповідно референтної роботи, тобто, щоб це була якісна і водночас доступна до всіх медичних працівників база інформації та статей.
Furthermore, we have the issue of workforce planning to ensure that we will have the right number of people with the right skills at the right place at the right time with the right, actually cost and financial support. It is a massive problem across Europe and way beyond Europe that we haven't done much, and we need to do much more beyond borders and across borders.
Питання кадрового забезпечення, воно з огляду на всі попередньо описані інновації в нашому житті вимагає також нових підходів до планування заздалегідь кадрового забезпечення в необхідних ділянках, де вже прогнозуються відповідні потреби, відповідне планування підготовки таких фахівців і їхньої, знову ж таки, мобільності. Це теж певний виклик, який вимагає від нас нових обсягів і підходів до роботи.
Also, the massive issue of a proper balance between work and life, which we believe is hugely important for the well-being of healthcare professionals, so by looking after themselves, they can truly look after others. This requires a more universal approach in principle and in practice.
Питання кадрового забезпечення також враховує те, що всі живі люди, і людина не може тільки працювати, їй треба дбати за собою, і лише той, хто міг подбати про себе, може надавати якісну допомогу іншим. І отже, виникає питання балансу життя-робота. Це теж велика частина нашої роботи, частина планування кадрового забезпечення, їхньої підготовки, щоб людина мала змогу подбати не тільки про пацієнтів, не тільки працювати, і подбати про себе, мати нормальний психоемоційний і фізичний стан.
Furthermore, the empowerment of patients in the design of any kind of modern healthcare and progressive healthcare system, we don't accept anymore a paternalistic view of the practice of medicine, where the professional is in charge and responsible for everything, but we put our patients in the center of it, and we design and progress for everything together with them.
Тривалий час в медичній професії панував такий патерналізм, коли пацієнт потрапляє в медичний заклад, він повністю безпорадний і віддає себе повністю в руки медпрацівників. Зараз підхід змінився, і ми прагнемо, щоб у пацієнта було не тільки відчуття, що він не безпорадний, а має певні важелі впливу на хід свого лікування, свого подальшого шляху через медичний заклад, і мав свій голос, тобто його голос дослухалися, і його бажання теж були враховані, а не тільки те, що говорять медичні працівники. Це і є англійське слово empowerment, тобто позбавлення безпорадності перед поставленою проблемою, з якою стикається пацієнт.
Also, we have a completely different approach as to how we measure the outcome of healthcare, which is not only based anymore on the outcomes which are purely medical, but we put patient-reported outcome measures, the way the patients define what it means to them, the effect of a procedure or an operation on any kind of medical act. So this patient-reported outcome measures approach is the modern way of seeing the effectiveness of the care that we offer.
Зокрема, як проявляється відход від старого патерналізму в роботі з пацієнтом. Раніше результативність медичного обслуговування пацієнту визначали самі медичні працівники, голос пацієнта в принципі ігнорувався. Зараз підхід міняється і оцінка результативності, наприклад, лікування або курсу лікування, або взагалі наданих медичних послуг, в ній враховується не в останню чергу опитування і взагалі відгук самого пацієнта разом з, скажімо, там, історією хвороби і всією документацією, яку готують медичні працівники. Тобто це комплект документів і частину з них складає сам пацієнт.
The aging population, which is a massive phenomenon across the world, but especially in the European continent, poses completely new and very difficult challenges in modern healthcare practice.
Ще новий феномен, над яким зараз думають і працюють багато науковців, це тенденція такого демографічного старіння населення, зокрема Європейського Союзу, але не тільки. І це теж цілий пласт роботи, який лежить перед нами. І, зокрема, до цього треба готуватись і до пошуку рішень теж.
Also, the care that we offer to vulnerable individuals, especially in the two different spectrums of the population, the pediatric and the geriatric, is a huge and ever-evolving challenge which is beyond borders.
Також важливою частиною нашої роботи це окремі дві ділянки роботи з вразливими категоріями пацієнтів. Це педіатрична і геріатрична допомога. Тепер це окремі, знову ж таки, ділянки і допомога їм – це ціла спеціалізація.
So, colleagues, I hope that you will agree with me that all these massive challenges of provision of modern health care are without borders and demand robust answers without borders. And there is where the role of a European organization like us and the medical associations and the countries represented in our organization need to give universal answers, which are collaborative answers and way beyond borders.
Всі означені проблематики і інновації в медицині, в медичному обслуговуванні – це приклади того, що більше не можна зосереджувати всю науку і медичну технологію, і знання лише в одній якійсь країні або в декількох країнах. Це вимагає транскордонної роботи і об'єднаних зусиль. І допомога вразливим категоріям, і боротьба з старінням, і мобільність медичних працівників – все це вимагає колегіально і не просто в рамках однієї установи чи країни, а в рамках цілої низки країн, а то і всього людства. І зараз це в рамках нашої. І чому ми наразі працюємо за об'єднання медичних працівників Європи саме для вирішення швидкого і ефективного накопичення знань і мобілізації цих знань і технологій.
So, in the last 65 years, the way we see the services we offer to deal with these very big challenges in our organization, because we pride ourselves in saying that we are an organization that deals with real problems for real people in real life, is that we focus on three different things. First of all, the scope of the organization is our vocation, is society altogether, Europe beyond that, the world and our humanistic values. So we see that there is a very big humanistic and universal umbrella. That's our scope. Our focus is the whole package that covers the trainee, the trainer, the training center, the specialist practice, and last but not least, patient care. And the way we do things, the mechanism, the vehicles that we're using are the European training requirements and assessments, the appraisal of the centers that provide training, the European Accreditation Council for Continuing Medical Education that safeguards and guarantees quality of medical specialist education in Europe and around the world, and then more specific programs like the collaboration between the clinical skill centers or our collaboration with the European reference networks. And we believe that the Ukrainian colleagues can be full shareholders in all these projects, and we can work together very closely with the support of all European partners to eventually implement them in Ukrainian medical specialist practice as well.
За 65 років роботи нашої організації ми зараз згрупували нашу роботу і напрямки всі в 3 таких компонентах. Перший компонент – це обсяг, на чому ми зосереджуємося. Це наші професійні навички і знання, суспільство, для якого ми працюємо, Європа як організм, як соціальне таке середовище, соціально-економічне, світ і тенденції в ньому, а також цінності гуманізму. Далі фокус – це на чому ми зосереджуємо нашу роботу. На підопічних, які отримують медичну освіту, на тренерах та педагогічному складі, які надають освітні послуги, на самих навчальних закладах, де проводиться підготовка медичних працівників, практична підготовка, інтернатура і так далі, ну і, власне, догляд за пацієнтами. Далі way – це шлях, якими шляхами ми досягаємо цих цілей. По-перше, це оцінка рівня підготовки в кожному навчальному центрі та навчальному закладі, центри оцінки або зрізів знань, підготовки, далі акредитаційні центри, які акредитують, власне, навчальні заклади медичні, і мережі співпраці і колаборації між медичними працівниками різних країн. І ми вважаємо, що наші шановні українські колеги можуть і, сподіваюся, воліють долучитися до всіх цих аспектів і активно це зроблять і робитимуть найближчим часом.
And I always believe, and this is my experience over 25 years dealing with European projects, that European projects are always a disaster if you try to impose something from the top by wiping out and replacing everything that exists. European projects are a very big success when you respect, you learn, you complement, and you build on existing experience, resulting in consensus of really high standards. Consensus is always a challenge, but when you reach consensus, and we always do, it is extremely powerful.
В чому основна відмінність підходу до європейських проєктів, в тому числі в галузі охорони здоров'я? На відміну від такого патерналістського або авторитарного підходу, коли хтось новий приходить і все, що було старого, зносить, замінює чимось новим і нав'язує щось від себе, йдеться про те, що навпаки ми відходимо з позиції поваги, комплементарності, тобто доповнення до того, що було раніше, і пошуку консенсусу. На відміну від авторитарного підходу, консенсус – це завжди набагато складніше. Досягти консенсусу важко, це робота, але результативність її набагато вища, ніж старий авторитарний підхід, як ви сказали, до основання. Зруйнувати, а потім будувати щось нове.
And the principles that we try to reflect in all the projects that the UEMS are doing, and this is, the cornerstone of our principles, are the ones that they were agreed between all the European medical organizations almost 8 years ago. And they put at the very center of all our activities the issue of knowledge, skill, attitude, and behavior. These are the 4 pylons that drive all the projects we offer for medical specialist training, education, accreditation, and practice across Europe.
8 років тому було прийнято консенсус в підході до, тобто заява про консенсус, як досягається консенсус в вирішенні таких задач. Є 4 основних елементи, які включають всі форми освіти, підготовки, як індивідуальних працівників, так і покращення стандартів медичної освіти. Це, по-перше, обсяг знань, тобто теоретична підготовка, skills – практична підготовка, набуття навичок, attitude – це ставлення до своєї професії, ставлення до колег і пацієнтів, і behavior, тобто поведінка, етична поведінка, етичні норми медичного працівника.
And I will touch only briefly in the main projects per se, because I understand that the previous speaker gave a very vivid and clear picture. The European training requirements and the examinations that we follow for that is one of the most important and one of the flagship projects of our organization, and it is the product of those training requirements and the assessments of a massive amount of work that starts from the relevant UEMS specialist section and board and expands across Europe until it gets the approval of the organization.
Вимоги до підготовки медичних працівників та зрізів знань і оцінки їхнього рівня підготовки. Робиться це з урахуванням відповідної секції UMS, національних наукових спілок, представлених в цій секції, відповідних європейських наукових спільнот, а також широкі консультації по можливості з національними та європейського рівня університетами, коледжами та професійними організаціями.
And it is massively important for Ukrainian colleagues to be part of these discussions for our training requirements and assessments so that they reflect the necessities and the needs and the challenges of Ukraine as well.
І дуже важливо, тому що наші українські колеги активно долучалися до роботи над оцінкою потреб в навчанні для того, щоб враховувати специфіку України і ваш досвід.
And the purpose always of the design of these training requirements and assessments is, yes, to reach consensus, but not in the context of the lowest common denominator, but the highest commonly agreed standards.
Причина, чому ми настільки активно шукаємо консенсус в оцінці вимог до навчання і підготовки, це для того, щоб стандарти навчання базувати не на найнижчому спільному показнику, а на найвищому спільному показнику, тобто прагнути не середнячкової якості, а вищої якості в усіх місцях, де ми працюємо.
From there on, we have the council, a special board that assesses the quality of those training requirements and assessments periodically, and also produces guidelines as to how they need to be done and how they need to be designed to be sure that they're always state-of-the-art and fit for purpose.
Для цього слугує відповідно створена рада, яка періодично робить оцінку або зріз рівня підготовки і рівня підготовки спеціалістів на рівні організації UMS з залученням 40 європейських спеціалістів та рад по оцінці, які діляться між собою досвідом та експертизою. Є також програма відповідної оцінки, і вони регулярно продукують рекомендації щодо відповідно до попередньо зроблених оцінок.
Furthermore, this is done through a very robust process with a very specific committee with elements from the UEMS and beyond the UEMS, and is being done in a very specific and robust way.
Є відповідно для контролю якості іспитів та зрізів знань, які показують якість підготовки, є комітет відповідний, а також залучаються інші ради в рамках UMS, також знову ж таки національні та національні спілки, професійні ради та коледжі і академії.
We have a series of preparatory courses that prepare colleagues across Europe for taking the European exams, and they ensure that their pass or fail depends on knowledge and competence and not on any technical matters like language barriers and so forth. They are very popular, and there were a demand that came from the people who take the UEMS examinations.
Також ми пропонуємо підготовчі курси перед тим, як здавати іспити відповідно до наших вимог. І дбаємо про те, щоб здати ці іспити і пройти підготовчі курси можна було, незважаючи на мовні бар'єри, для того, щоб саме технічна, практична і теоретична підготовка оцінювалась, а не було там штучних перепон, які не давали б потенційному кандидатові здати ці іспити.
Also, we have a very clear process for accrediting the training centers regarding their ability to train people, to train medical specialists, and the quality of this training. And this is where, again, we can work with you hand in hand to ensure that something like this can translate into the Ukrainian medical training. We will be very happy to work with you on this because we believe that it is hugely important to be able to have a credible training mechanism before you ensure that you have the best possible trainees that can pass the European exams and get accredited.
Ну і для того, щоб здача іспитів, підготовка до іспитів відбувалася відповідним чином і ефективно і якісно, у нас є механізм акредитації центрів підготовки медичних працівників. І саме тут ми теж дуже чекаємо залучення наших українських колег, щоб і український контекст теж лунав в цій роботі, і ми могли розширювати і робити цю роботу більш ефективною.
And again, this is being done, the accreditation of centers, through a very robust and well-defined process that includes very detailed reports on behalf of the center and a visit at the center to make sure that everything is being done properly and trainees are receiving the right amount and quality of training.
У нас вже добре відпрацьований механізм цієї акредитації. Центр підготовки, в нього входить спочатку складання самим центром звіту про свою діяльність, а потім наші візити безпосередньо в сам центр, де ми оцінюємо дуже об'єктивно рівень підготовки, рівень практичного, теоретичного забезпечення, технічного і так далі, щоб ця підготовка була найвищої якості.
The next big project is the European Accreditation Council for Continuing Medical Education, which is 20 years old and aims to accredit medical specialist training at the highest level and with the highest standards. And we receive more than 2,500 applications for such events from around the world. And this includes all forms of medical specialist training, live events, e-learning material, hybrid events, apps, e-libraries, and so forth. And there is a very robust review that is being done by the UEMS office, by our specialist section, and the National Accreditation Authority, with which we have an agreement in the country where the event takes place. And we believe that this is one more big step where we can work together to ensure that events happening in Ukraine, either international or national, can be appraised and accredited at this very high level.
Також у нас є Європейська акредитаційна рада для безперервної медичної освіти, куди поступають на рік близько 2,5 тисяч заявок. І ці події, коли вони стаються, вони проходять в дуже різних форматах, безпосередньо в великій залі, в аудиторіях, також в електронному форматі, дистанційно або в гібридному, змішаному форматі. А також є потім перегляд результатів, які проводять і наші відповідні органи UMS, наші спеціалісти. І є також національні акредитаційні центри, з якими ми заключаємо угоду. І тут теж, зокрема, нам дуже цікава співпраця з нашими українськими колегами, для того, щоб коли такі події проходитимуть в Україні, у нас акредитаційна робота була спільною і разом з українськими відповідними організаціями.
Your association, for example, could be the partner of the UEMS when it comes to the national authority that helps us with accrediting international and national events in Ukraine.
Зокрема, ваша асоціація може бути нашим партнером в таких акредитаційних подіях, які проходитимуть, зокрема, в Україні, сподіваюся.
We have this new element of the ACME 3.0, which is the new and updated version of the ACME, which is a credit to my esteemed colleague, the Secretary General of the UEMS, Dr. Joao Greno, and the whole team around him. And the credits offered by ACME, they are not only recognized in the vast majority of the countries in Europe, but through special agreements, they are recognized in the United States and Canada. So every credit offered by ACME is an international currency, educational currency, that any medical specialist can use across the world.
Є така звітів. який, зокрема, використовується в центрах підготовки США і Канади. Зараз ця система оновлена, тобто кредити це як бали, які враховуються як валюта, тобто віртуальна валюта, не грошова, а кредити, які слугують як бали при оцінці. З цими балами, якби заліковками, можна потім працювати відповідними організаціями. Це якраз як ми і мій колега пан Рено якраз активно долучався до цієї роботи оновлення третьої версії системи кредитів і АКМЕ.
And we have more recently, agreements for accreditation of national events in the national and the local language, like the one we have with Spain, and the same thing with Greece.
Зокрема, ми проводили такі акредитаційні події локалізовані, повністю, що йшли місцевою мовою, зокрема грецькою та іспанською, відповідно Греції та Іспанії.
And there are more countries which are queuing to do exactly the same about their national events, and Ukraine could also be one of them.
І багато інших країн зараз готуються провести такі самі локальні акредитаційні події. Ми дуже сподіваємось, хочемо, щоб Україна стала однією з них.
Also, we recently signed an agreement with CONFEMEL, which is the Confederation of the National Medical Associations of Central and South America, for collaboration on CME-CPD and for them adapting to European standards and practices when it comes to education, training and accreditation.
Є така конфедерація CONFEMEL, це Центральна та Південна Америка, з якою ми теж уклали угоду і проводимо разом акредитаційні події, акредитаційну роботу відповідно для їхніх працівників, їхніх організацій.
Then we have, as I said, more specific projects like the big network of the clinical skill centers, simulation and all clinical skill centers across Europe, where they work in partnership and they shape the way for the future in this field.
Є також у нас мультидисциплінарний спільний комітет та мережа акредитованих центрів набуття практичних навичок медичних працівників НАСЕ. І туди входять симуляційні та несимуляційні навчальні центри для медичних працівників, з якими ми теж активно співпрацюємо.
We have a recent new project in collaboration with the AMH, a sister European medical organization, where we offer accreditation in clinical leadership, not in management, but in clinical leadership, where we would really like to have your input and your participation and together again to shape it for its future form.
Є така, можна сказати, сестринська асоціація IMH, яка це Академія медичного лідерства, не керівництво і врядування, а саме лідерство. Дуже хотіли б, щоб ви долучилися до цієї роботи.
We have also new elements in our portfolio, and we have created the right European bodies to be able to deal with that. And this has to do with competency-based training, with multidisciplinary training, with the handle of big data and artificial intelligence, green and sustainable practice, medical ethics, professional conduct, medical legal matters, and of course management. So it's a massive new portfolio that we try to integrate into the work of new UEMS bodies which are responsible for that and in which we would like to have your input and your collaboration.
Ну і як попередньо згадана робота з асоціації IMH, на майбутнє і зараз ми працюємо в тому числі в сфері лідерства, такі речі, як набуття нових практичних навичок, робота з великими об'ємами даних та аналітикою, в тому числі інструментами штучного інтелекту, поєднання медичної професії та сталої сфери охорони здоров'я, також поєднання з зеленими технологіями, зеленою економікою, етичні питання, професійна поведінка, медико-юридичні питання, а також менеджмент, тобто управлінські питання. І ми теж дуже хотіли б в усіх цих галузях співпрацювати з нашими українськими колегами.
We believe that in the future, when it comes to shaping CME, CPD, continuing medical education and professional development in Europe, in the broader European continent, the professional, the medical specialist should be at the center of it, and the whole thing should be self-driven, self-directed with active involvement. I personally believe passionately in the quote of Benjamin Franklin, "Tell me and I will forget, teach me, I might remember, involve me, and I will learn." So these two principles, the professional at the center of it, self-driven, self-directed with active involvement. This is how we see the future.
Основні моменти, в яких ми бачимо майбутнє підготовки медичних працівників і безперервної освіти. Якщо раніше в освіті студента вели за ручку і штовхали його по професійним шляхом, зараз ідея в тому, щоб сам майбутній медичний працівник або вже сформований медичний працівник, подальший післядипломній освіті, рухався власною ініціативою, спрямовував свій кар'єрний шлях теж власними бажаннями і був активно залучений, а не просто приймав вказівки інших. І тут наводиться фраза Бенджаміна Франкліна: "Розкажи мені, і я забуду, навчи мене, і може я запам'ятаю, а якщо дати мені активно долучитись до якоїсь справи, то тоді я справді навчусь". Саме це мається на увазі під цими керівними принципами, в яких ми бачаємо майбутнє підготовки медичних працівників.
We see the European specialist of the future as an excellent clinician, innovator, leader and humanitarian, a holistic personality dedicated to the good of humanity.
Майбутнього медичного працівника ми бачаємо як людина, яка поєднує в собі такі риси, як відповідно дуже висока фахова підготовка, інновації, тобто вміння творчо підходити до професії, рухати її вперед, лідерство, тобто бути взірцем і заохоченням для інших, для молодого покоління і так далі, і гуманітарне спрямування, тобто працювати задля людей, а не задля чогось іншого. Тобто цілісний підхід до персоналії і фахової підготовки майбутнього працівника.
And I will close, colleagues, with two comments, two quotes from two of the founders of the European project, the European integration. Robert Schuman said, "Europe will not be built in one day or in one way." And Jean Monnet said, "Nothing is possible without people, nothing is lasting without institutions." So we do believe in this integrated, and evolutionary development of Europe, and also we do believe that things start from people, but if they are to be sustainable, they need the support of proper structure and organizations. And in our organization, we believe in both.
Ну і на завершення, шановні колеги, хочу згадати дві цитати від двох з основних засновників європейського проєкту. Це Роберт Шуман і Жан Моне. Роберт Шуман сказав, зокрема, що Європу не буде побудована за один день і якимось тільки одним способом. Тобто це займе тривалий час і багато різних способів. І Жан Моне сказав, що нічого неможливо побудувати без людей, а зберегти побудовано неможливо без інституцій. І саме тому ми вважаємо, що такі організації, як наші, і є частиною інтегрованої еволюції, якою ми бачимо і сподіваємось, надалі розвиватиметься наша галузь.
I would like to thank you for your very, very kind attention and your most kind invitation. I would like also to thank my esteemed colleague who did the translation. I'm very grateful for that. It was so accurate. It is truly impressive. And to say very, very importantly and with my hand on my heart that we wish to work with you on all of these domains, not in theory but in practice. The UEMS is available at all its levels, from the executive to the council to all the working groups, to work with Ukrainian colleagues. First of all, to have Ukrainian input in everything that that we do so that there is Ukrainian input in all these European projects, and then to work how we can translate these into Ukrainian practice so that we will advance medical specialist education, training, accreditation and practice in Ukraine, and of course patient care. We really mean that, we want to do it in action, and we are prepared to agree with you a roadmap as to how to take it from this meeting onwards with realistic steps. You have our most grateful thanks for your kind invitation. I'm very happy to take any questions, and I have to apologize that I have to leave after my talk because of my overwhelming commitments at the Congress, but I hope that my colleagues in the UEMS delegation, Dr. Greño, our Secretary General, Professor Krajewski, our liaison officer, Dr. Mark Hermans, our Vice President, and Dr. Hanu Halil, our past President, will be able to remain in the meeting. Thank you again so very much, and delighted to answer any questions.
Отже, наостанок хочу ще раз дуже щиро подякувати вам за запрошення і за вашу увагу. Я, поклавши руку на серце, ще раз скажу, що ми дуже хочемо, щоб у всіх описаних вище галузях і специфіці нашої роботи ми працювали вже пліч-опліч з нашими українськими колегами. І разом з нашою виконавчою функцією в робочих групах всюди звучав вже голос наших українських колег в усіх галузях, в підготовці працівників, в освіті, в догляді за пацієнтами, в практичних діях. І ми готові укласти вже дорожню карту нашої подальшої роботи. Я мушу вибачитись, одразу після моєї промови я змушений буду перейти тому що мене чекає багато роботи в Конгресі, але наші колеги, інші представники ЮМС будуть з вами, і я сподіваюся, можуть відповісти на запитання. Дякую.
Thank you so much, Professor Papaloulis. I think that I will talk from all the auditory here that we are indeed privileged to have this keynote lecture of yours, of President of the UEMS at our Council of Medical Specialists. And it is very much important for us to hear that Europe is supporting the Ukraine, Europe is supporting the move of the Ukraine towards the European Union. And just a short note before we go to the open microphone and some questions from the auditory, I would like to know that when we were renovating, rebuilding the Ukrainian Federation of Medical Specialists, this is the federation which is over 25 years old. We were in recent years, we rebuilt it from the scratch. Mostly we have built this federation. Andriy Tkachenko was behind all this idea of renovation of the federation, and we built this federation. One of the cornerstones was the UEMS structure in terms of the medical specialties, which were directly implemented into the structure of the Council of Specialists of the Ukrainian Federation, fully according to the UEMS structure, to be in line with the UEMS organizational structure. And we really, as you have said, we really look forward to go further together. And this is absolutely, you noticed very correctly that this is a bidirectional movement. Not only the Ukrainian specialists right now, due to the war, they are leaving the Ukraine. Some of them are returning back to Ukraine. But also, as you have shown on the presentation, there's a map. There's a map of Europe with the Ukraine. It's still not colored in blue. And I think that we will implement all our passion and all our, knowledge and all our possibilities to color this map, so the Ukraine will be colored blue as all the other European nations are, so we'll be in the same cradle of the European nations. And this is indeed one of the major pillars that we are directing our work of the Federation here. So thank you very much again for the holistic presentation of yours, and I would like to open the discussion panel. We are really happy to have the liaison officer, the Secretary General, and the Vice Presidents of the UEMS here with us. So I will go on further into Ukrainian, if you might, and there will be a translation for the discussion session. Шановні колеги, пропоную
Dear colleagues, I propose you to start the session Q&A to the UEMS head. So we have got the possibility to ask some question, ask the imagination of the cooperation between us, and maybe to tell about your achievements. Maybe would you like to ask some question? Of course. Of course. Okay, so I would like to introduce my question in a few words. So it's very important for us to take part
to be part of the European family. Many things that Europe does to train their specialists are of utmost importance also for Ukrainian counterparts.
От дуже багато напрямків. Ну, от, наприклад, у нас за півроку було зареєстровано більше, ніж 2800 івентів. Ми бачили цифру 2,5 тисячі в Європі, в Україні за рік, а в нас за півроку було 2800.
For instance, we've seen in your presentation that in a year you've registered about 2,000 events. So in Ukraine, to compare with it, it's been 2,800 in half a year. So the trend is so many events are happening.
Досвід Європейського союзу медичних спеціалістів навіть в цьому напрямку для нас дуже важливий. Тому ще раз дякуємо, сподіваємося на продуктивну співпрацю в подальшому.
So that's why an experience in training medical specialists is so important for us. So thank you very much for this holistic presentation, and we're looking forward to cooperate with you.
Thank you, and I'm delighted to hear about the number of events in Ukraine. The events that IACME accredits are international events, but as I said, we have now bespoke agreements with nations for accreditation of national events. And if you have such a massive educational activity, I can see a great opportunity of collaboration for the accreditation of Ukrainian events at the European level. And allow me to say, at a more broader level, about the color of blue of Ukraine, I passionately believe, personally, that if the European Union wishes to be really progressive and visionary, Ukraine should be a member of the European Union as soon as possible. It will be the biggest declaration of European solidarity and the biggest advocation of European ideas and ideals over the last century.
Так, звісно, ІАКМЕ акредитує дуже багато заходів, дуже багато подій. І, як я зазначав під час презентації, у нас є окремі угоди з конкретними країнами, де ми акредитуємо події саме в цій країні. І ми дуже хочемо в цьому плані працювати з Україною. Ще скажу про забарвлення мапи. Ви сказали, що дуже хотілося б скоро побачити те, що на мапі ЮЕМС теж Україна забарвлена теж блакитним. Ми сильно чекаємо, щоб Європейський Союз прийняв Україну якомога швидше, тому що це буде якраз проявом і підтвердженням справжніх європейських цінностей і великим сигналом, що світ рухається вперед, а не назад. Дякуємо вам.
Thank you. Thank you so much, колеги. Хтось ще?
Maybe someone would like to answer some question, to ask some question, or maybe lately.
Thank you very much, Professor Papalois. It is indeed important for us to have all the officers of the UEMS here with us today. I just wanted to know that, for example, in our specialty in obstetrics and gynecology, we are actively working with EPCOC, which is part of the UEMS, in terms of the accreditation program in the Ukraine, in terms of taking part in all the activities, and more or less the same situation happens in different other specialties. And for that, we have created here the federation as a joint force, to join all the medical specialists, to join the representatives of the medical profession into one hand, to have the union force to be able to not only build on the respect that we have to the people who were before us, but to learn from the European experience and to implement the best practices into Ukraine and to be able to integrate Ukraine even further as it is actually physically possible into the European organization, into UEMS and into European Union as it. So once again, thank you very much for the brilliant presentation. It was really great to have you here with us today, and we are happy to have the officers with us for the next session, for the next presentation, and we indeed look forward for the communication by email afterwards, so we can schedule the steps of the further communication and steps of further acting after today's conference. Thank you so much again.
Thank you very much. Thank you so very much. All the best. All the best.
Thank you, dear colleagues. So after the presentation of our European colleagues, UEMS, so we can go to our academic of the medical science. Igor Dmitrovich Skrobanets is going to tell about the presentation about the professional development and implementation of medical standards in the medical field. So please. Dear colleagues, as I said before, unfortunately, the president of the National Academy of Medical Science, Mr. Tsimbaluk, couldn't be with us now, and he said that I need to do this instead of him. So it's the scientific support and development and implementation of professional standards in medical science field. So it's one of the main important part of the medical field in the self-regulated, because when we have got some current rules, it's one of the most important part here. It's one of the most important part of our practice. So that's why National Academy of Science includes to the development of professional standards. And you can see on the presentation the meeting, the head of the Ukrainian Federation of Professional Medical Organization and the president of National Academy of Medical Science of Ukraine, the Vitaly Tsimbaluk. And I think that this process isn't an accidental thing, because the National Academy of Medical Science is the highest medical institution of Ukraine. So it needs to provide the scientific improvement of medical standards or for healthcare of Ukraine. So that's why the 5th June of the 2023. So it was established a memorandum between scientific technique and a cooperation about the improvement of different kinds of model between our cooperation. So let's continue. Recently, the 29th of August was considered that we need to make up a board, and it was considered on the meeting and here you could see a huge number of representatives of the institutions of Ukraine. On this meeting, we considered that we have got the main tasks of our board, which focus on different kind of development of professional standards. And now can you see different kinds of our tasks, and they are quite complicated, but the participants of our board are struggling with this kind of complicated tasks, and there is a huge number of qualified specialists, and they are able to provide scientific standards in the healthcare institutions. On these meetings was considered
the participants in the professional council, not only scientists, but civil society organizations, and I think highly important that there are trade unions in the medical area. So the process was completely legally reasonable. It's been appointed the head of the area, head of this unit is Mr. Vdovchenko, who will be uniting the potential of the National Healthcare University, and the experts will be joining it as part of the National Academy of Medical Sciences of Ukraine. National Academy of Medical Sciences on these meetings was tasked with consultations of joining the different institutions that are part of National Academy of Science to participate in the field council and work groups in designing professional standards in healthcare. I was tasked from the Academy to represent the National Academy and selected as one of the deputy. I want to stress that professional standards are requirements to competency of experts that are the foundation for forming professional qualifications. Professional standards for different specialty doctors are one of the main legal frameworks that regulate medical workers, explore the content, the knowledge and skills required. They will have to establish the qualification requirements, professionalism, competencies, and they are assessed during the attestation and certification. In most countries in the world, it's part of the governance. That's why at the start of the presentation, I stressed that designing of professional standards based on evidence-based are important part of self-governance in medical profession. The National Academy of Medical Sciences of Ukraine is the self-governed state organization that has the necessary potential to design professional standards in healthcare based on evidence-based medicine, economic feasibility, impartiality, and integration into European scientific space. Not only evidence-based medicine is here, since the National Academy of Medical Sciences has always been ahead of those who was designing different standards, including the treatment standards in healthcare, and all the specific leading specialists at the National Academy were experts of the State Expert Center of the Ministry of Health that was dealing with standardization in healthcare, but also the key phrase is the impartiality. Since National Academy of Medical Sciences, Ukraine is outside the territorial administrative division, because the National Academy of Medical Sciences is a self-governed organization that is subordinated to cabinet ministers, not the industry-wide vertical. So using the potential of National Academy is the guarantee of impartiality. Impartiality and possibility to integrate into European scientific space, because self-governance is one of the principles in integration into European space, both scientific and medical self-governance. The current tasks that the Council faces, including the National Academy of Medical Sciences, is to participate in the design of the list of the professional standards, to provide the proposals to the presiding members, to create work groups in designing professional standards, and their constitution from the members of National Academy of Medical Sciences, to do the training for members of work groups in designing professional standards based on the program of National Agency of Qualification, and design these professional standards. So in particular, I want to again inform the participants that our federation has submitted an application to National Agency of Qualification on the number of medical professions, and now it goes above the list that was provided by the Ministry of Healthcare. It's been more than 100 of them. Our objective in healthcare and medical sciences have to match the expectations and needs of our people. And I reassure you, and you know most of all, because we have here people from all the areas of medical science, medical self-governance and healthcare, how difficult the tasks for medical industry will be facing in the wartime and after the war, where the relevance of cooperation of all the constituent parts of medical industry for rehabilitation of our heroes that are going to be coming back from war and will need special treatment from the medical industry, from the medical sphere, and it's going to be a process that is going to be democratic, transparent, and it can only be provided by the federation, which is based on self-governance, and it will only be providing the vertical of management, the medical science, and in cooperation we see the future of development of our industry. Thank you. So this presentation has been prepared by the President of the Academy. Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. On behalf of the Academy of Medical Sciences, indeed, we hope that the foundations of cooperation laid between the Academy of Medical Sciences, the Federation of Professional Medical Unions, and the medical educational establishments in general, they completely match those principles that the previous presenter, Professor Papalouis, was defining as the leading ones for UMS. It's a complementarity of different approaches for the sake of our joint goal, the benefit of our patients, the benefit for Ukraine as such. So this kind of area of cooperation between different areas of medical sphere is the next presentation of Academic Kaminsky. The presentation is going to be medical profession as a leader of own professional training.
Thank you everyone. So I want to say with pleasure that the part of the information that I would like to introduce for you was introduced here in Yuri Ivanovich's speech. So that's why we have almost the same perspective on this way, and I have a pleasure just to make my speech shorter and we have got more information that we would like to consider. So I'm going to talk about the strategies of development, about our perspective, and our view is quite complementary and collective. So I'm very happy that we could make medical society and academy and make everything in one way. So please, the third slide. The strategy, we said about it before, but the process needs to be deeply here. So the government and the Ministry of Health of Ukraine and the Institutes of Healthcare, they need to be considered in our general work. So existence in our, except we need to remember that today we need to talk not only about the medical part of these processes that exist, we need to talk about the cooperation with medical and medical sociality and treatment. We know the number of people who have disabilities, especially our warriors. We know there's a huge number. Also, we need to pay attention on the psychologist rehabilitation and so on. And we need to remember that we need to form our system of cooperation, and this an integrator is the integrator of our main way to the good life. So I want to highlight the systematic in our cluster structure in the realization of the cooperation, and except of we have cluster, and for instance we have got expert analytical cluster. Yeah, it's very modern word nowadays. But today we need to consider the interests of professionals, of professional community, and these people who are interested in these things, and every part which is interested in. So we need to consider that network now is very important. Igor Dmitrovich said before that firstly we are nearly to the realization of the ideas which we are connected with. So the board gave us some principles which we need to live according to, and we need to consider the professionality of our medical workers. So the level of proficiency needs to be established by the professionals only. Also, self-government in medical profession needs to be based on us, on the colleagues, on the professional associations, and these people who are able to self-govern the priorities and who needs to care about these priorities. And I'm very happy that we are on our way to solve that. So we understand that scientific innovative method needs to be here, because it's very important to join our strengths to realize our principles. These realities which we have in Ukraine, they are different from the world's realities. And for instance, I need to retell the experience of our medical doctors, that the huge world needs to have a practice from Ukrainian doctors, and we need to pay attention on social rehabilitation. Let's understand the experience of the countries which was participated in the war, but now currently we have got another reality, and this experience which Ukrainian had taken, we need to understand that we need to provide this experience for the whole world. I'm very happy that we are here, and I'm grateful that we are here and we have got such modern format, and I'm very happy that we are here, and I want to have a cooperation with our European colleagues. So you saw that there is a number of our European colleagues. And I need to say thank you to Ms. Svetlana, because it was one of the most powerful steps for our development in our appropriate way, because the first step is very important. And thank you all that we have made this step. And now we're going to have a coffee break, and then we are continuing our communication. Thank you for your short presentation. And does everyone agree with this proposal? So we have got a break for 10 minutes. No coffee break. We have got a presentation. Let's come back there. So, dear colleagues, we're going to have a very special lecture, which will be from Василь Лазурин.
Асоціації як основи громадянського суспільства. Вже сьогодні визначали в стратегії розвитку системи охорони здоров'я до 2030 року визначено базові засади. Це визначення нормативне забезпечення ролі самоврядування в системі охорони здоров'я на національному, регіональному та локальних рівнях. Прийняття закону та відповідної нормативно-правової бази, яка регулює правові професійні асоціації. І тут про це вже сьогодні говорилось, це дуже важливу роль грає стратегія опікування медичною професією. Стратегія опікування медичною професією вимагає координації та взаємодії зі всіма основними інтересантами від держави, Міністерства охорони здоров'я, заклади охорони здоров'я,
State, Ministry of Health, healthcare establishments, medical educational establishments, doctors and patients. Each of the stakeholders balance their activity between achievement their expectations and specific conditions. For you, it's not surprising that the self-governance and activity of professional associations will allow to provide the balance and harmonization of interests of all the stakeholders. The necessity to account for the goal and tasks and of the stakeholders in the system of healthcare of Ukraine and the social services, the Ministry of Social Policy, the scientific self-governance organizations that were mentioned today, National Academy of Medical Sciences, and the National Academy of Pedagogical Sciences, professional associations and their unions, our federation, and similar self-government organizations, the Association of Service Providers, both medical and social, patient and client-based organizations. A complex of cooperation will create a fruitful foundation for effective service system of complex rehabilitation services, which is so needed now by our men and women on the front line. It is professional associations that have laid the foundation of civil society. According to Ukrainian legislation in the state policy in healthcare, it is state administrations exercise it, but at the same time, certain authorities are relegated to local self-governance. It's one of the important tools of balancing the cooperation between the local self-governance agencies and
місцевого самоврядування це збалансування взаємодії їх.
this balancing their interaction. It is regulatory or professional self-governance, and also the powers and authorities of local state administrations. It is mentioned in the respective laws of Ukraine, the function of self-regulation of the economic or professional activity, the role of professional medical associations as a balancing agent. The problem balancing has a certain goal in mind, in particular, these interests in the triangle, profession, society, and the state, as well as interaction with respective European or worldwide organizations. So the functions between that is certification or accreditation of the units or establishments, the qualification requirements of this profession, approval or control of ethical code for these organizations, and arbitration court. So that's what we mean when we together shape medical self-governance. That requires legislative, ethical, and professional space and professional associations. For this purpose, we need to fulfill certain block of criteria. First block is cooperation with state governance and local government, central government and local self-governance. Professional, basic, formal or informal mechanisms in medical corporations with functions, goals. The first block is harmonized state standards, criteria and requirements. Competencies requires the approved standards of economic and professional activity. It is activity of professional associations within the second block facilitates forming the necessary legal framework about social norms and regulations. The third block of competencies requires the system of certification of members of a certain professional unit, register of subjects of these professions, professional medical associations, proper control, so that the healthcare establishments maintain specific standards, providing medical standards, clinical protocols, doctors form protocols of assistance, lists of equipment, etc. The fourth block of competencies requires personal ethical code, membership and profile world and European organizations, maintaining criteria of transparency, periodical independent audit, regular public speeches on behalf of the profession. And it is the fourth block accounts for best standards and formats and the necessity to design the unified game rules in the system of professional self-governance, and also the toolkit of
So I need to highlight that these blocks are talking about self-governance and professional sphere and which requires for hosts of medical institutes. We care about our profession, functional section of the governmental sphere that has approve of the Ukrainian Federation of Professional Medical Organization and the Medical Healthcare University, and the profile the second and
післядипломного розвитку, референтів програм, нормативно-правове забезпечення та супровід стратегії розвитку галузі.
These two organizations are a very effective tool for the expert support of the activity of the Ministry of Health of Ukraine. So professional standards, educational program, and professional qualities. So a number of governmental organizations about the development and creation of the educational program and medical programs, which involves a representative of the medical workers as
це профільні професійні асоціації та Українська федерація медичних об'єднань.
They can be a base of the creation and functioning of the appropriate qualified centers, which are accredited by the different kinds of institutions. I need to highlight that the creation of the board we made for making our board about the professional standards and the so this kind of the board has influenced on different kinds of social and governmental institutions. Ukrainian Federation of Medical Organizations has made a kind of different pharmacy courses. So they made different standards for medical healthcare education.
So we've selected 64 requests to design the standards in healthcare. That's our joint big work. The Federation of Medical Unions has submitted to Accreditation Committee 117 applications for professional standards in healthcare. We created Qualification Center of the Federation of Medical Unions. We have to know that based on professional associations, we've outlined more than 10 professionals that are absent in the decree of the Ministry of Health. And here we need to talk about these provisions with the Ministry of Economy and Education. As I pointed out, the strategic areas of interaction of structural units of Ukrainian Federation of Medical Unions and the main stakeholders according to the Memorandum of Cooperation between National Academy of Medical Sciences, the University of Healthcare, and Ukrainian Federation of Medical Unions from June 5th. So we stress on the continuing post-diploma development, and we care of the profession, and that is the foundation of the model Mura, and heads of the engagement of professional associations, the professional analysis and generalized recommendations for the education. The list of professional associations and experts that should be included in the attestation committee. The active participation of Ukrainian association in the designing professional standards in healthcare. The second area is stressing the formalization of relations. Our goal is self-governance of medical professions. The draft law and healthcare. The task is to unite the whole medical community based on self-regulation. The legal framework audit of the documentation, the annual reporting, and thirdly, in terms of strategy, we stress the non-formalized remainder, engaging more medical professionals to their professional associations. A doctor has to be a self-sufficient doctor. So the expansion of post-diploma excellence in education, interaction with calculation in hospitals and how many healthcare professionals are needed, designing new programs. The association has already discussed the initial starting point, the plans of actions in the strategy of medical education in Ukraine, the plan of actions with the National Academy of Sciences, the improvement of continuing post-diploma education, formal requirements to associations. And the first stage, together with the association, will list the medical profession, we create a register and harmonize it with the European such list. So the profile associations are engaged in work groups and experts of Ministry of Health. We've conducted the discussion of cooperation between these agencies. So the first stage is to calculate the staffing needs in specialty and sub-specialty. Increase motivation for medical workers and in pharmaceutical and scientific education. On the second stage, together with the Ministry of Healthcare and together with the associations, we designed the proposals to Minister of Health in terms of internship and receiving secondary specialization, forming the profile expert group at the Ministry of Health in terms of providing efficacy of continuing development, the presentation of modeling of funding, developing of medical and pharmaceutical establishments. So engaging members of the association to attestation committees and the Central Formality Committee, creation of university clinics, generalizing general proposals to provide active civil control, norms and regulation, accreditation, certification of clinical basis to prepare doctors and interns. So these strategic directions require active participation of Chamber of Experts and their committees to provide proper legal, professional, and ethical environment. The mission, role, and function of medical associations as part of the building the civil society in our country. Thank you for attention. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vasil Vasilovich. Thank you for the defining the four main
So these are the four
parts
main foundational pillars that we where we record legal, professional, and ethical. So some 15 minutes coffee break. Is 10 enough? Okay, let's have 10 minutes till 5 o'clock.
А как вы пришли к первому вот такому? Просто я думаю, что, в принципе, не все так и плохо в моем случае.
So we continue our meeting, and Vice President of Ukrainian Federation Professional Unions, Professor Grigory Trovanchuk, with the manifest, so to say, the unified self-governed profession. Dear ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues in Ukraine and abroad, of course, this is a manifest of sorts, but still, we have heard quite a lot of interesting, useful, and basic information, both from our presenters and Professor Papalios. And when we were preparing the event itself, when we were preparing this presentation, it was important to have the following. And we try to imagine ourselves as a federation, as a partner for our foreign colleagues. And we would see what our shared points where we overlap and where we are comparable. So the first thing that becomes obvious is for UMS, the medical profession remains a leader of determining professional training and continuing education. For them, the most important is that the profession itself is the leader among other professions that exist in the West. For us, back in the 1998, when we started the Federation, and now as we resumed its work in the new historical period, we care about the profession. It's not just a slogan, it's our objective and our mission. The Federation and caring about profession. Our goal is to achieve the real self-governance of medical profession. And something we've discussed a lot, the doctor has to be self-sufficient. And we thank your colleagues, we thank Professor Papalios. Maybe he did not mean to show us what, in their opinion, means self-sufficiency of the doctor, but he did show it. So we can skip that. It was in the previous presentation, but it's important. When we talk about profession, primarily for us, one of the objectives is education, knowledge, practical skills. And we all understand that not only the future doctor is not ready to say what he or she has to know or be skilled at ahead of time, because they are only a student at the moment. But the most difficult is that the future employer of this doctor doesn't even know what they need from the doctor. And it's a big challenge that we've discussed previously. So solidarity in responsibility means it begins with the contractor of the services, not only society and not just a medical establishment. The best qualified contractor of the services is the manager, the healthcare manager. And it's great that we have an association in our federation, which is Association of Managers of Healthcare, and we task them with this exact thing. You, as head doctors, chief surgeons, what kind of skills do your subordinates need to have a successful establishment? Because in 30 years, we've moved away from the system of planned economy, which was logical at its time, but now it's lost its relevance. Planned economy, it was a very sophisticated process, and it included proper staffing mechanisms throughout the economy. It was on one hand very simple because in the planned economy and administrative command management system, it was on one hand very simple. It was all written as a schedule, but on the other hand, the demand in knowledge and skills was quite different. So managers of medical specialists need to get engaged quite actively. So when we were founding this professional council, whose founders, I stress it again, specifically medics, who are the federation, the healthcare university, and the science academy.
So there is a different kind of governmental association and employers. The professional is self-government, and only medical needs to establish this. So they need to be included to this process. So the central executive organ realizes the process of the medical work. So we need to include our professional board here. So why do I stop here? Because still we are the representative of this medical profession. Still we do not regulate the self-government here. We won't be able, the government won't be able, everyone won't be able to achieve the results which our colleagues in Europe do have. And when we are comparing the European Federation, and because it's a federation, but it is a national federation of association, and when we are comparing our federation, so what's the main development? ETR, European Standard of Educational Medicine from UEMS. So they think that the great development is this ETR development. It's like a standard of the education, that how do they need to teach everyone. They had spent almost 10 years to create this standard for the medical education. It includes postgraduate education, continuous development. Yeah, they created the huge system for that. So that it's obviously that it's very useful. Our cooperation is the main thing. Is how do we need to adapt to our circumstances here, our education there. So we need to pay attention on this. So I need to end. Before the end the manifest, I need to highlight your. So, and I need to highlight to our foreign colleagues, not only because we are fighting with the main evil of the world. No, the medical profession is one and only self-governmental profession. So from one hand. From the other hand, when we talk about modern world, so we need to say that it's a democracy world, and democracy, it's not only the election world. Democracy is based on the governmental society, and the base of the each governmental society is a governmental organization. And one of the things of governmental education is a professional. So these professional organizations, which are self-governmental, are here for a huge number of years, and everyone is proud that the governmental society includes some democracy traditions here, and any governmental organizations has their own democracy traditions. And let's take a look on this manifest, which I called as a manifest, so the manifest of the Federation and our so from 1,000 years we need to highlight that this profession is saved by the self-governments, and this profession cannot develop to the kind of complicated things, and only the medician needs to have an obligation to say that he is the main person here. So the manifest of today's meeting is we care about the profession. Our main object is definite with the legislation that our self-regulated medical professions is a main thing for independent doctor. So independence, according to the Papa Leos, is not only knowledge, it's how the medical workers can be independent. And when the medician has his own life, so it's the main thing here. He needs to have lifelong basic. Thank you for attention. Thank you, Mykola Georgovich. It's very important, and thank you that it was short and accurate. And you know, it's like a brilliant, which is based on our UFPMUC organization, and everyone is trying to build their own standards with this presentation. And yes, you're right that this manifest is one of the main things. Thank you for the presentation. So we are slightly coming to the main basis, which was talked about the Mykola Georgovich manifest. So I pass the word to the next speaker, Svetlana Eduardovna Yaremchuk, the profession of medical science. And also she would like to introduce this topic about the government, about the self-governance, and what about the main basis of this definition. So dear colleagues, more than half a year we faced with full-scale war, and of course we have got quite
First of all, I would like to stress that the medical system of Ukraine, despite the large-scale military aggression, has survived, and it's thanks to invaluable input from every medical professional. Nobody ran away. We all were on the job from the very first day of invasion, and each day our medical workers helping people, helping the military. Over the year 22, unfortunately, 106 medical workers have died. 33 of them died on the workplace. Even in our institute, in the Otto Institute, 2 of our employees died. They were brilliant surgeons. In order to train, to build such a specialist, you need years and years of training and practice. And in order to bridge this gap that appeared because people left the job or died or wounded or are held captive, we need to spend a lot of effort in training new employees. In Ukraine, 187 healthcare establishments were damaged. 1,280 establishments damaged and ruined. And the damages are assessed at dozens of billions of dollars. But we're not standing still. We're moving forward. Currently, about 200 medical establishments are restored. The model healthcare hubs were created. And we faced new challenges since we are always in tension every day. We have these air raid alarms. Sometimes missile hits. About 14 million Ukrainians require psychological assistance. Some medical training establishments changed their location because they were damaged. And also we faced a challenge when we train medical students and post-diploma studies during the war. And it was especially prominent in the first year of large-scale warfare. No social communication. The training was only remote. So that leads to absence of proper practical skills. Students cannot talk to patients. They cannot communicate with teachers. So that means they have a lot of questions where they cannot get the answers. On top of that, they need psychological assistance because the students are also under constant stress of air raid alerts and bombardments, which doesn't help any learning. Everybody knows that medical science is a precise science, so proper training means saving lives. And COVID pandemic unexpectedly taught us to work remotely. The medical profession is no other in this regard. And that helped us in the first year of large-scale warfare. Now, in this reality, remote medical education has to be integrated with all existing models and strategies of remote learning. There are many of them. In the wartime, it's important to staff properly educational establishments so that students could have offline lessons. There are training facilities in more or less peaceful territories in the west of Ukraine, for instance, and there are higher education establishments that are closer to the front line. And the training there is less secure. So, staffing your training facilities with people from less secure regions may be of assistance. It's also important to use shared educational platforms where educational establishments share their educational platforms, and so the students can use these platforms and compare or find something new for themselves. Also, there's an interesting training model based on modeling and high-tech clinical studies using new technologies, 3D imagery, holography, etc. So it's very important to be able to use such formats as mobile and mixed learning. You can even you can even advertise it as internship of sorts. This mixed training is made up of 3 main components: lectures and theory, practical sessions with real or virtual patients. So we do have virtual patients as well. We can try and provide treatment for them and to assess whether the patient has been treated properly without any threat to their life. It's a very interesting area. And thirdly, simulation center, where practical skills are attained during the simulation. As Professor Papalius mentioned, what we have now in the National Institute of Health are these simulation centers where students can increase their qualification, attain new skills and knowledge. And now it's very important for us, as well as in Europe. It's a very important sphere of simulation lessons. It's communication skills. It's been proven that if a student attains these communication skills, meaning working in a virtual operation room, in a virtual brigade, which imitates and simulates different situations that can emerge in an OP room, not only improves the quality of service provided, but even decreases the bacterial infections present in the OP room. So these communication skills have been used widely in the training of firefighters, pilots. Now it's time for us to try it as well. Therefore, communication skills are highly important for us, especially in periods of social isolation, especially for students. So one of the novel forms is sessions that are sensitive to psycho-emotional state of a student, because unstable or distressed mental emotional state is a hindrance to effective learning. If you add blackouts to this, you increase the time you need to spend to attain the necessary skills. But that may also serve as compensation of different gaps of learning in the remote format during the war. So these are the realities of our life now. I want to say that the problems with the psycho-emotional state of our patients as well as the students requires additional sessions with family doctors, with psychological support, and these lessons are now held, supported by a mental health program that are conducted by World Health Organization. As for our prospects for the future, I hope you support me if I say that Ukraine has to have the best possible future and flourish as a country. Thank you, Svetlana, for the presentation. It's highly important as a topic because not only self-governance is for us important as a federation, but the situation that happened because of the armed aggression of Russia, the impact it has on both education and the day-to-day life of medical profession in Ukraine. I think this presentation is highly important, not only for all of us present, but also for our European colleagues who have joined in from European community, medical community, in order to understand what kind of reality we are living in. What are the challenges we face, other than basic challenges that everybody faces, but also the problem of caring for the basic needs of any person. So we hope that our international partners help us win this war, because we stand for the civilized world, and we'll have the opportunity to move forward and develop. So thanks, Svetlana, for your presentation. So we can now proceed to our organizational part. So according to the statute, we have certain duties to fulfill, and it has to happen in a democratic way. So we'll proceed to voting now. So, dear colleagues, I remind you, just as a start of the session, everybody can vote. Just raising your hand if you're in favor, or against, or refrain. Those who joined us online, please vote with a virtual hand or just thumbs up in the camera or in the chat. So, the items to vote. Number one, the decision of the Council of Representatives of November 18, 2021, the selection of members of Experts Chamber with previous results of the Scientific Council and Medical Council provided. So put this for the vote, for approval. So who is in favor of this decision, please vote. Who's against? Who is refrained? Thank you. So our accounting committee will record these results, and then at the end we will announce them. A second item. Appointment of the Secretary of the Expert Chamber. According to the information that was sent forward, the decision of the Board of the Federation in the meeting of August 11, 2022, the candidate was Tamara Armenenko to the position of Secretary. If there are no other proposals or objections, please vote for this candidacy. Who's in favor? Who's against? Who's refrained? Thank you. Dear Tamara, I want to congratulate you with this new position. Before the accounting committee will provide their results, for what we can hear in the audience is unanimous support of your candidacy. Dear colleagues, we proceed to the following item, number 3, appointment of the deputies of head of the Chamber of the Federation. According to the provided information, the management decision recommended candidates that you see on the screens: Konstantin Kosachenko, Volodymyr Kovrysyuk, and Alexandra Baturov, Alexander Tolsanov, and Vadim Getman. To appoint them deputies specific areas in the Chamber of Representatives. If you have alternative candidacies, please announce them now. If not, then let's vote for this constituents. And to the appointment of the deputies. Who's in favor? Who is against? Who's refrained? Number 4 item. According to the statute, we have to approve the provision on the Chamber of Experts. The provision was sent forward to you on the email. Everybody was collectively engaged in discussion. First, it was a conceptual version, then we crystallized the final variant, and from our side, we generalized these proposals. We added them to the final draft. We sent forward to everybody of you this final draft. If there are no further proposals, I suggest to vote it to approve the provision on the Experts Chamber. Please vote. Who's in favor? Who's against? Who's abstained? Also, I remind you that we still wait the pending votes till September 21, 12 a.m., 12 p.m. We still expect the results of your voting to the email. After that, we will summarize the voting. Item number 5 in the agenda. Criteria of delegation to membership of the experts chamber. Just as in previous issues, this information was sent forward by email. There were also proposals and criticisms, and the final variant was sent forward just recently. So if you have no additional changes or proposals to the text, I put this to the vote as for the criteria of delegation. If we agree to that, let's vote now. Who's in favor? Who's against? Who's refrained? Let's proceed to item number 6. It's an important issue, the amendments to the list of experts group of the Ministry of Health of Ukraine and the appointment of candidates from the expert group in the Federation, but also in the statutory bodies of the Federation, from Scientific and the Medical Council. You all know that the competitions have been completed for selection of the members of expert group, and many of our colleagues have participated. As for changes and proposals, this information has to be forwarded to the email, and if there are no objections, we can approve with these notes and criticisms for the Ministry of Health. Who is in favor, who's against, who's abstained? Next, item number 7 on the agenda. Speeches of heads of the committees of our Federation. I think, in order not to dwell too long on this, in this presentation of our heads of committees will be sent forward to all the participants to the email, so that we could familiarize ourselves with what committees are busy doing now, and we'll see who of us will want to participate in the work of these committees. Please join in and send us these requests, and we'll join to the work of these committees within the Federation. Dear colleagues, the next item on the agenda item number 8. Since the presentations were sent by email, we need to aggregate the draft and the functions of these committees and work groups of the Chamber of Experts in total, and approve the personal content of these committees. We have these members suggested for appointment to the temporary work groups. You see them on the screen. If you have alternative candidates, please post them online or in the chat. If not, then let's put it for vote. Who's in favor of approving this item? Please, let's vote. Who's against? Who has abstained? Thank you. So basically, our main items on the agenda have been covered quite quickly. It's just we needed to vote transparently and democratically, because the Chamber of Experts is the statutory body of our federation. So the county committee should record the results. If you had any criticisms or amendments, please voice them now. And I propose to pass the floor to the head of the county committee regarding the current voting. So, please, Angel. the committee has completed its work in this format, and on the current decision of November 18, the proposals of selection of deputies of the Chamber of Experts, the provision on the Chamber, the criteria for delegation of the members, proposals to the list of expert groups, and the heads of profile committees, and the work groups of Chamber of Experts. All the present parties who were here voted in favor. My colleagues have provided information that those who work with us online also voted all in favor. There were no votes against or those who abstained. But up until 12 o'clock, September 21st, all who were not managed yet participate offline or online can still send their votes for this particular point. Thank you, Angela. So now we go to miscellaneous. There are those who want to speak up. Do all the members of the Chamber of Experts vote? Yes. All of them according to the list of professions that are included. So, and then we proceed to miscellaneous. If somebody wants to speak, online or offline, then please. If there are no such people, or the secretary, have there been any proposals? If not, then, dear colleagues, I would like to give floor to the final word to Yuri Ivanovich.
Dear colleagues, in the ending of our meeting, and I need to highlight that it is first meeting of the Chamber of Specialists, our federation, and I think that everyone was the witnesses of the new way of working, and as speakers highlighted, that we have got a basis which we need to work on, and we understood the ways which we need to go, and we had a great work today to make an organization questions and strategy, and we made an excursus about different structures that we are working with, and I have listened with pleasure that the representative of the European Union of the medical workers was react in a positive way, that we exist, and we heard some kind of positive words that we are civilized and modern country, and we're going to improve, develop our connections, and we're going to teach and of course studying. So we need to spend the whole life for studying, because our life is studying, and we need to transfer this kind of knowledge to another people. And there is a kind of, we have got a suitcase, and here is a huge number of knowledges, and we need to pass these knowledges to our colleagues. We've done everything here which were in the agenda, and I want to highlight one more time that we made a huge, powerful organizational step, and I think that it's our first step, and then we will have an everyday work. Yes, of course, it might be hard work, because everything, as someone said, Everything starts from the first step of the child in this world, and we were breathing the first breath here, and we've made a huge step here. We have got a huge expression, and I think that we're going to teach another people there. So we have got an amazing potential for that, and we have got a great plans for that, but we need to pay attention on the realities of our life. And of course, I mean the Russian aggression against our country, this violent war, this. So we are working according to these circumstances here, and we need to be united here, because without medicine we cannot live anywhere. And if we have got a few people, we need several more. First of all, we need a doctor, then a lawyer, because in case if we have got two people, we need to solve some problems. But yeah, we have our teachers, but it's another question. But on the first place, we have got a doctor, and it is a main. Okay, so I'm happy that we made this powerful step. Yeah, of course, I'm sure that we have spent in the time effectively, and I told maybe some useful or unuseful information, but everything is necessary here, and it doesn't matter in short or in a full part of the information. So thank you for your thoughts, thank you for your proposals. I think that we will work together, and our chamber with another different committee, boards, and for that, for our people, for Ukrainians, for the satisfaction to our people. And in the end, I wish you health, and everything will be fine. The victory is ours, and I wish you great health. Thank you. Oh, I forgot. I want to say thank you to our technical support, who provide a normal and also the representative of our federation, who made a lot of efforts to establish this meeting here in business format. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. I think that the meeting is end, so the photo for memory near the screen together. Все. Мы же все.